You hear that? The sound of bold ideas.
Welcome at the UX Rotterdam Podcast. We are recording at the usual in Rotterdam. My name is Nauke de Jong, co-founder of UX Rotterdam. And in this podcast, we are talking with designers, leaders, and other creative thinkers who are shaping how design and technologies are evolving, especially in times of rapid change. And in today's episode, I'm joined by Merel Backers, founder and head of design of Digizorg. Merel, welcome. Very honored to have you here as our guest. And first question I always ask to my guests is, what is your connection with Rotterdam?
My connection to Rotterdam. So I've been living in Rotterdam for a decade now. I'm originally from The Hague, which I feel mentality-wise is pretty similar to Rotterdam. And I moved to Rotterdam for love, so that's my connection to Rotterdam. Yeah.
All right. And any special recommendations for restaurants, coffee bars, inspirational places?
Okay, yeah. So my husband started his coffee bar 6 years ago in Rotterdam North. So it's called 33rd Street Coffee. It's my favorite place, obviously, to go for coffee. Other places I really love is Louise Petit Déjeuner for a nice brunch on Sunday. And I think my favorite restaurant must be Deep North. It's also in the north. So if you want to go and experience, I think the food in Rotterdam is fantastic. And I also believe it's one of the best places in Europe to experience fine dining, and also so enough to see and to experience in the city.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for your tips.
Yeah.
Let's dive into your story.
Yes.
And before we will talk about Digizorg, your startup, and your special project and relationship with it, I would like to know more a little bit about your design background. What did you do before?
Sure. So I've been designing now for, I think, I always forget to count, but about 12 or 15 years. So I originally started at different agencies. They all have changed their name by now, but if most people still remember Mirabeau, United, or Unit ID, TomTom, which is now Debt. So this is basically the start of my career. At some point, I was looking to deepen my craft a little bit more. So what I loved about working in agencies is that you can really improve your skill really rapidly and work for different commercial brands. But at some point, I was looking to, I always felt that if you give the project away, I think it just starts at that point. So I was looking for how can I commit myself to a product and really see it grow. And so at some point I decided to start freelancing because I was looking for a type of brand that I would like to commit myself to, but I found it pretty, well, not as straightforward. So I thought if I would start freelancing, maybe I will have a bit more flexibility to try different things. Mm-hmm. And at some point, I started my career at KLM, or my freelance career, first on the operational side. So I was responsible with a team to design an app that helped pilots and cabin attendants to really organize their work. Mm. And after that, I worked at the commercial side at the KLM brand. And this was also the point that Digizorg basically started.
So, yeah, in 2019, you became sick.
Yes.
What do you want to tell us about that? What happened?
Sure, I can share my story. So when I was freelancing at KLM, at some point I felt a lump in my breast, and this turned out to be cancerous. So when I was 28 years old back then, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. This was just a huge turning point in my life because from day to night, you go from this ambitious 20-year-old designer with big plans in life, and the other day you're not so certain about if these plans will be feasible. So this was my first introduction to the healthcare system In the Netherlands, yeah.
But becoming ill and getting a concept for
Yes.
an app is I think two different worlds. Maybe a little bit the first stage. So you went to the hospital, and then you get frustrated about how the systems and information flow work.
Yeah. So I think if I tell people about Digizorg, the first thing they say is, "Isn't this there yet?" And my answer is no, it isn't. So when I became a patient, of course, you first go to your general practitioner. They tell you have to go to the hospital for a scan. I was diagnosed at Franciscus in Rotterdam, and they basically told me that I had to go to Erasmus MC for special treatment because of my age. And I always had this idea because that in how I remember it, if you switch from general practitioner, they will tell you, well, we'll send the file or your health file to the other place. So I had this image of my file just going from place to place. And what I found out is that it doesn't work this way. So
how did you find out?
I found out because the first experience I had is when I went to Erasmus MC and I met my surgeon. The first thing she told me was, okay, I got some things from Franciscus, because especially in this situation when it's cancer, they want to move fast, right? So she told me, okay, I got some information, but I don't have the complete picture. So Merel, what I'm going to do is I'm going to order blood work. Going to order this scan and this scan and this scan again, because it takes me less time to kind of send you into this system instead of trying to retrieve the data that's already been done. And for me, this was such a weird experience to have, because I just did my blood work. I just did these scans or like these diagnoses, so I just had the scans and the breast research. Most people know this is really not a pleasant thing to experience. And I just thought it was such a wild idea that the person that's responsible for my life does not have this information. I think a lot of people assume their doctor knows everything about them, but the reality of this is they don't. They really don't.
So you started to dive deeper.
Yes. So
as a good researcher and UX designer.
Exactly. So this was just one example I had. Like other examples that you have is when you, especially when cancer, there's a lot of different disciplines have to work together to give the best care. And what I found out is when I had a new appointment with the same with a new healthcare practitioner, they kept asking me the same questions, and this was basically in the same hospital as well, which is also a really weird experience to have, because you think, I just told your colleague this. I enjoy the chit chat, but it also feels weird to kind of have to repeat sometimes really sensitive information.
Yeah.
And for me, this was a first kind of sign, like, are things going the right, like, are you guys communicating, or like, how does this work? It just felt so strange. And what I started doing, because I was, a UX professional in all these different areas, I just started making pictures of the things that I was experiencing. So patient leaflets, all the letters that I got, because there's a lot of paper letters that you get when you get this treatment, just to really make sense of kind of what was happening and who am I talking to and why are they asking these questions. So that was basically the first step that I took.
So when was the point that you really thought, hey, this could be more than just an idea?
So to be honest, I think the reality of this is much more mundane than people expect. So I never had a big grand plan of, I'm going to present this and then it will become a company or something. When I got my cancer diagnosis and I was going through my treatment, you also kind of live through an identity crisis because I really identified myself with my work. And then suddenly, if you get chemo every week, you suddenly are not a designer anymore. You're at home alone a lot and have a lot of time to kind of contemplate. Mm. So for me, this was actually a form of
keeping yourself busy, or
keeping myself busy, and also having, I thought if in the end I can create something that would help my doctor, was also, I thought it was actually a very fun puzzle to work on, even though the situation was not. And to be honest, I just wanted to keep myself busy. I wanted to show this to my doctor and hopefully, make a difference, that somebody could do something with this. So there wasn't a grand plan of how this spiraled out of control. It's just me, trying to still do my craft, to do the things that I'm enjoying. And then also, because this was one of the first times that I was actually, designing something that was not commercially branded or was really there to, help others, if it was my doctor or patient. So
is that a different mindset? I mean, okay, you are sick and maybe also in a sort of emotional stage, but is it different to work on a project like this instead of working for commercial projects?
I don't know. I think so. Of course, I think in this case, I think if you are a patient working on an app for patients, you do have a head start research-wise. So I think my experience really helped me to kind of in the early days, or when I was sketching, to kind of know what mattered and what didn't. What normally would take years of research, or to kind of identify what has a priority, what are people looking for. But also, if I was talking to people, and this was already later when Digizorg was already there, it helps me to kind of identify what people are living through, or I can kind of understand the things that they are trying to articulate. So I think that kind of gives you a head start, because you have these full splitter, like you can kind of
feel if it's working.
Or not. What also really helped me and is still helping me is that if me or my team are designing things, I use my own data, because then suddenly, if it feels real, you can really, it's easier for you to recognize if it's going the right direction or not. So yeah.
Hey, and back to that moment when you got the chance to present this idea to, I don't know, to your doctor or maybe to a team of doctors. So how did they react? What was, let's say, your moment of victory?
I think so. I think this is one of my favorite things of, just how things can go in life, because so as a designer, we're so used to, building prototypes and like bringing things to life. The doctors in the hospitals, for them, this is absolute magic. So what I did is I made these sketches, and I made a Figma prototype back then, or InVision, I have no idea what it was. I used my own data. I could make it really, really realistic. And basically what I did the next time I had a meeting, like a health meeting with my doctor, I said, Linetta, do you have 5 minutes? Because I have something that I really wanted to show you. And she was, of course, she always has time for me, but it's also a doctor. And she was like, oh yeah, of course. And I showed it to her, and I saw her eyes. It just completely blew her mind, because she thought, this lady has connected the entire hospital. I'm now seeing an app with data in it. How has she was kind of, and the only thing she could say is, I think I need more than 20 minutes for this meeting. So that was a really special moment for me. And I think the timing was also interesting, because this was with the corona pandemic. And I think it kind of like we were then all these we were all working together, to kind of make this pandemic work. And I think that really gave a boost as well to this, because after this meeting, she told my oncologist, like, hey, have you seen this? We need to talk to her. And after that, so sometimes it was silent for a few months. But then, like, I got another request, or like, how do you think about privacy? What do you think about waiting room management? Because it was Corona and they didn't want people to stay in the hospital too much. And this was kind of the process of.
But then you already knew that something was happening, right?
I knew something was happening, but also I didn't really grasp the importance of it, because sometimes then I got a message. Hey, Merel, we have also, because I wasn't familiar with how hospitals are organized and the governance inside hospitals as well. So at some point I got a request like, hey, Merel, can you please present to this board of people? And I would just present my ideas. But then after I figured out, oh wait, this is the board. This is not a board. This is the board. And at some point, I got a call from my colleague Arjan, who said, "I've been hired. I've heard your story, and I'm actually calling you because we really want and need your help. So are you ready to do this?"
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And at that point, you also had significant improvement on your health. So you were getting more fit, or you were getting more also mentally prepared to step into this new adventure?
Well, to be honest, when I got the call, I was just, I started a really cool gig at Côte d'Azur. So I was able to, together with their team, design the website for Polestar.
Okay.
And I think, so when people think about, going through cancer treatment, they don't think about the aftermath and the mental effect of a treatment like this.
Yeah.
So when I got the call from Arjan, I told him I really need to think about it, because the state that I was in back then, I had, if I would get a letter from the hospital, I would get heart palpitations.
You would think there's something to worry about.
Yes, and doctors always call anonymously. So if I got a call from the doctor, I would get heart palpitations. If I saw the logo, because I used to live in West, and then if you go to the city or some part of the city, you can see Erasmus's MC or in the horizon, kind of becoming visible. It would give me heart palpitations as well. So at first I said I really need to think about it, and I actually made the choice to work on Polestar first, because I've been a patient for 1.5 years. I really just want to feel normal again. I want to work on my craft. I want to work on beautiful cars and just not think about being sick, or maybe the possibility of being sick again. So they actually asked a different designer first, because I said no. And I was involved in kind of doing design reviews. But then after a few of these meetings, the designer was doing great work, but every time I walked out of the meeting, I was like, it's not how I would do it. And at some point, I thought I was in a better mindset. I felt that it was kind of this point, like, you're either going to do it or you need to let it go. And then I asked myself the question, and I thought, I think in the end, I will deeply regret it if I don't try it. And I was feeling a lot better back then. So I decided to do it. Yeah.
Good decision.
Yes. Yes.
So let's talk about Digizorg. What can you tell about the benefits for patients, for hospitals, for doctors?
If I explain Digizorg to people, so I think a lot of people in the first they assume, well, of course there's this app for patients. It's the first thing that we started with. At some point we figured out that if you want to improve healthcare, you need to not only improve the situation for the patients, but also for the healthcare practitioners. So at some point, the perspective of the healthcare practitioner also joined, because we believe that if you can support patients better in their care, you can relieve the administrative burden on healthcare practitioners. And if you relieve the administrative burden on healthcare professionals, it will improve the patient healthcare as well. So it's kind of it works together.
Yeah. Yeah, what can you tell about the situation now, since you are not a startup anymore? I believe you are with more than 100 teammates already.
Yes.
What are the most important focus points? What are the challenges nowadays?
So I think we have reached a very exciting time, because we have had financials now for the upcoming 4 years. So we're currently looking into how can we expand to different care domains. So currently we are improving the digital health infrastructure at Erasmus MC. But we actually have technical connections to the platforms that are used in the different domains. So we are really making progress on getting the infrastructure in place. And we're now expanding our product to other hospitals, but also general practitioners, emergency care, home care. And I think this is it is a very exciting time, because we're now scaling outside of the hospital walls. So from the surface, getting care or giving care or receiving care, it kind of looks like the same process. But actually, when you talk to patients and caretakers or caregivers from these different domains, you really find out that they all have their own preferences and needs, which is really interesting. So this is kind of where we are today.
Sounds like an ordinary design process, right? You start with something small, and at the end, it becomes bigger and bigger.
I thought it was already a big chunk, but you're right.
And are you still personal, let's say, involved in also the journeys? And are you, I mean, you are head of design, so probably means that you have more overview, but are you still involved in getting to know the user?
Yes, so I mean, from the start, from Digizorg, my role has changed a lot. So first I was the designer, kind of making the first products or design decisions. And now we have a team of, I think, 7 designers and also 2 UX researchers. So I'm still involved, of course, in the design, but I'm not the one actually designing. I'm helping the team to kind of keep this patient perspective. My role has recently changed as well, because I'm now manager design and patient experience. So I am responsible for the vision and the strategy of all our patient products. And also the one responsible of making sure that patients are represented, they are represented in the company, in the board meetings, and making sure that these insights that we get from the floor are communicated across all layers.
So let's go back to your passion for design. I think it all started when you, back in the days, designing beautiful, aesthetical designs. And nowadays, we are living in an AI world with a lot of innovative developments. So what is your vision on our industry?
Vision for the industry, I think, so if I look back on my own journey and kind of the shift that I made at Digizorg, of course, I used to work before at Polestar, which is a highly aesthetic brand, and I was always focusing on how can I make the most beautiful aesthetic experience. And I think now, being at Digizorg and also being really challenged by my colleagues, like, what is the most important thing? Is the most important thing that I deliver something that is highly aesthetic, which might take a few weeks, to get it exactly right? Or think about how can I help patients or care professionals as fast as possible? So I think this really is a shift in my own mindset, where I used to be somebody that was really focused on details. Now I kind of try to be more aware of how can I make real life impact fast, even if it means that I have to choose maybe the not most beautiful design, but the thing that works and it works fast for people. Is that an answer to your question?
I think so.
Okay,
and,
yeah.
and it's part of life, right? It's part of your evolution and your development as well.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very happy that you are now healthy.
Yes.
And that you can look at the future.
Yeah.
So talking about the future, how important is AI, for instance, for your solution?
Super important. So I think for now, so if I look at Digizorg, for me, it feels like we're still building the fundamentals. I think the things we're doing are not yet very mind-blowing. They're actually very mundane, like giving people, the data from one system to the other and like kind of serving them. But you really need, even with AI, it doesn't work if you have you need data to make AI work for you. So I think what I'm really looking forward to this year is we will have the fundamentals in place. And if I talk about fundamentals, I mean medical letters from different places in the system, lab results from different places in the system, research results, scans, etc. We are now able to kind of consolidate this into one product. So the difference that AI gives us now in comparison to years back is that we're actually able to translate this data. We know that we call it the electronic patient systems, but I like to refer to them as electronic caretaker systems because the data in there was never designed to be able to give to patients. It was really a way of the hospitals and the systems to administrate the tasks that they were doing, communicate with each other. What is really cool about AI is that now we have three values at Digizorg. One is completeness, the other one is clarity and control. We are still now working on getting things complete. Mm-hmm. And the next thing is how can we make the data that we're getting more clear for people. Nice. So translations from language to language. So if you open a medical letter, it will automatically translate for you into the language that you're speaking. So we will also make care more accessible. If a healthcare professional writes a summary for your appointment, we're able to translate this as well. So I think this is really, AI will help us to make care not only more complete, but also more accessible for all people. It's so cool to work on a product that you 500% support and believe in. And I think that I'm the most thankful for is seeing how many people join into this vision. And I can see my colleagues that are also working for 300, 500% because they really believe this is making a change. So I'm super happy that I've made this step. It's not always easy. I mean, it's. I sometimes also personally feel responsible for the success of the product. So it's not always been an easy journey. But I mean, if people ask me like, how does it feel? There are no words to express. To see all these people join in and work on the same vision and mission as we have. So I couldn't, no. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So I'm super happy that I did this. Yeah.
Well, as a fellow Rotterdam guy, I'm also very proud of you and with this achievement. And I'm also very proud that you are part of our lineup. What can you tell about your keynote? What are you going to bring to our audience?
So to be honest, I want to share the journey of the steps that I took from the start. But there's also a lot to tell. So I'm also very curious to know, what are the aspects of UX in healthcare that people are interested in. So I'm still figuring out. So I have part of the story ready, but I'm really looking for input as well, because there's enough there. We have more than enough things to show and to tell. So if people have input,
let's surprise us, Merel, and
yes,
I will be in the audience as well.
Perfect.
Thanks for listening. And if you want to know more about Merel, about Digizorg, you can go to our website, www.uxrotterdam.com. My name is Nauke de Jong, co-founder of UX Rotterdam. Thanks for listening and stay curious.